I'm about to tell you the one thing that has quietly kept you stuck for years. And once you truly understand it, you'll make more progress in the next 6 months than you have in the last 3 years combined. This has nothing to do with indicators, chart patterns, or secret strategies. In fact, it's so obvious that once you see it, you'll probably be angry at yourself for missing it. Most traders spend years trapped in what I call trader purgatory. They're not successful enough to feel confident, but not failing hard enough to quit. They blow a small account, deposit again, promise themselves it will be different this time, and repeat the cycle. Month after month, year after year. They've read the books, they've watched the videos, they've tried breakouts, reversals, scalping, swing trading, maybe even something ridiculous like moon phase trading at some point. And after all that effort, where are they? Exactly where they started. Lots of movement, zero progress. What makes this worse is that most of these traders genuinely believe they're doing everything right. They study, they consume content, they work hard. But in reality, they are doing the one thing that guarantees they'll never escape the beginner phase. That mistake has a name: permanent exploration mode. Here's how it works. You've been trading for 6 months, maybe a year. You know the basics: support and resistance, candlesticks, trends. You're no longer a complete beginner, but you're still not profitable. Maybe you're break even. One decent month, followed by several bad ones. So you do what almost everyone does. You hit a losing streak and immediately assume the strategy is the problem. This doesn't work. I need something better. You switch strategies. You test it for 20 or 30 trades. It works briefly, then stops. So you switch again, and again. Count them. How many strategies have you tried in the last year? 5, 10, 15? And how much progress have you actually made? None. Here's the truth that hurts. You think you're searching for the right strategy. You're not. You're constantly hitting the reset button. Every time you switch, you erase whatever progress you were starting to build. You're not learning. You're sabotaging yourself. It's like trying to learn guitar by practicing 20 different songs for 1 week each. You'll never get good at any of them. You'll stay permanently average. But the most dangerous part is the story you tell yourself. You believe that once you find the perfect strategy, everything will finally click. And maybe a better strategy does exist. But here's the reality most traders never accept. It doesn't matter. Any strategy with a slight edge can make money if it's executed with discipline. You don't need an 80% win rate. You don't need a holy grail. A simple strategy with a 50 to 60% win rate is enough to build real wealth if you actually master it. Meanwhile, another trader is quietly making money with a boring 55% win rate setup. Why? Because they've taken 500 trades with it. They understand its behavior. You've taken 20 trades with 15 different strategies. Who do you think is profitable? And here's where it gets even worse. Strategy hopping is only the symptom. The real disease is information addiction. You wake up, watch trading videos, scroll Twitter, sit in Discord servers, and keep researching better entries. You feel productive. You feel like you're learning. You're not learning. You're procrastinating. Knowing what to do and executing under pressure are completely different skills. The market doesn't pay you for knowledge. It pays you for skill. And skill only comes from repetition, one setup, traded again and again, through wins and losses, until it becomes automatic. And this is where most traders quit, right before the breakthrough. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most traders don't want to hear strategy hopping feels productive, but it guarantees failure. When you jump from one approach to another, you're not testing strategies. You're avoiding discomfort. You're avoiding commitment. And commitment is where real skill is built. Let me show you what's actually happening behind the scenes. You start with strategy A. You take 20 trades. You win a few, lose more than you expected, and your account dips. You conclude the strategy doesn't work. So you switch to strategy B. Same story. Strategy C, same result. You feel like you're doing research, but you're not gathering meaningful data. Because here's the brutal reality. 20 trades tells you almost nothing. 50 trades barely starts to tell a story. Even 100 trades is just the beginning. Every profitable strategy has losing streaks. Some of the best systems in the world lose 40 to 50% of the time and still make money. But when you're only 20 trades deep, you don't understand variance. You don't know what normal looks like. So when you hit 5 losses in a row, you panic. You think something is broken. It's not broken. You just encountered normal probability. But you never stay long enough to discover that this is where most traders abandon ship. Right before the edge starts to show an D. The irony is painful. The very thing that could make you profitable, staying with one setup long enough, is the thing you keep running from. Why? Because commitment is uncomfortable. When you commit to one strategy, there's nowhere to hide. You can't blame the system anymore. You can't escape by switching approaches. You're forced to confront your execution, your discipline, and your emotional control. And that scares people. So instead, traders hide in exploration mode. They wake up every day consuming content. YouTube videos, Twitter threads, Discord opinions, new indicators, new confirmations, new edges. It feels like progress. It feels safe. But it's not. This constant consumption creates the illusion of improvement without requiring real risk. You get the dopamine hit of learning without the fear of execution. And that's why it's addictive. The market doesn't care how much you know. It only rewards what you can execute consistently under pressure. And execution only improves one way: repetition. Professional traders understand this. They don't search endlessly for better strategies. They pick one setup and trade it relentlessly. Bull markets, bear markets, winning streaks, brutal drawdowns. They stay. Why? Because staying is how you learn the nuances. You learn when not to trade. You learn which variations work best. You learn what a normal losing streak feels like. You learn how your psychology reacts and how to manage it. That field professionals have. You don't get it from books. You don't get it from videos. You only get it from experience. And experience requires commitment. Here's the key difference between profitable traders and struggling ones. Struggling. Traders want certainty before commitment. Profitable traders commit first and accept uncertainty. Most traders are waiting to feel confident before they commit to a strategy. That confidence never comes. Confidence is built after repetition, not before it. Think about anything else you've ever mastered. Sports, music, a profession. Did you improve by switching methods every time things got difficult? Or did you stick with one approach long enough to get good? Trading is no different, but traders treat it differently. They expect results without boredom, progress without pain, skill without repetition, and it doesn't work. At some point, usually around the 3-year mark, traders reach a dangerous place. They're experienced enough to know the basics, but not skilled enough to be profitable. They feel close, but nothing clicks. This is where most people quit, or worse, they stay stuck forever. The way out is simple, but not easy. You must make a decision most traders avoid. Pick one setup and commit to it for 6 months. Not 2 weeks, not 1 month, 6 months. Even if it's boring, even if you lose money early, even if you see others posting wins with different strategies, especially then, because boredom is a signal that you've stopped chasing novelty and started doing real work. Losing streaks are not signs of failure. They're lessons in probability. FOMO is not intuition. It's fear of missing comfort. When you push through those phases, something changes. You stop reacting. You stop second-guessing. You stop searching. By month 3, patterns start to feel familiar. You recognize setups before they're obvious. You know when to pass without forcing trades. Your execution becomes smoother. By month 6, you're not a beginner anymore. Not because you learned more, but because you did more. This is the shift most traders never make. They stay in learning mode because learning feels safe. Doing feels risky. Losing real money is scary. Committing to something imperfect is terrifying, so they stay stuck. But here's the truth you need to accept. You already know enough. You know trends. You know support and resistance. You know stop losses and position sizing. That's enough to build skill. Everything else is noise. The market doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards mastery, and mastery only comes when you stop exploring and start executing. Now, it's time to talk about the decision that actually changes a trading career. Not motivation, not another strategy, not another course. A decision. After years of aimless movement, there comes a moment where you either stay stuck forever or finally move forward. That moment is right now. Here's what separates traders who eventually make it from those who never do. They stop exploring and start committing. This is where everything shifts. I want you to imagine something very specific. For the next 6 months, you trade one setup. Not 3, not 5, 1. It doesn't need to be fancy. A simple breakout with momentum confirmation. A pullback in trend. A basic pattern that's been around forever. Nothing secret. Nothing magical. And for 6 months, you don't switch. Not after losses, not after boredom, not when you see someone else posting screenshots of huge wins with a different strategy. You stay. The first few weeks will feel great. Fresh start. Motivation is high. Feel like you're finally doing things the right way. Then reality hits. It gets boring. You see the same setup again and again. There's no novelty, no excitement. Your brain starts craving something new, something better. Then the losing streak comes, and it will come. You'll take 5 losses in a row, maybe 6. You'll feel the urge to quit, to switch, to save yourself, to tell yourself this strategy doesn't work. This is where most traders break. They mistake discomfort for danger. They mistake boredom for stagnation. They mistake losing streaks for failure. But none of those things mean you're doing it wrong. In fact, they mean you're doing it right, because this is the phase where skill is built. By month 2 or 3, something subtle starts happening. You begin to recognize your setup earlier. You start passing on trades that technically qualify but don't feel right. And later you understand why. You notice conditions where your setup performs better and conditions where it struggles. This is not knowledge you can read in a book. This is not something a YouTube video can teach you. This is experience. And experience only comes from staying long enough. By month 6, you're a different trader. Not because you know more strategies, but because your execution has changed. Your reactions have slowed down. Your confidence is quieter. You trust your process because you've lived through it. That's real progress. Now let me be very clear about something important. This 6-month commitment does not guarantee profits. That's not the promise. The promise is something more valuable. Real skill. Once you have skill, profitability becomes a matter of refinement. Without skill, no strategy will ever save you. This is why most traders fail. They chase results before building skill. They want certainty before commitment. They want confidence before repetition. But it works the other way around. Repetition creates skill. Skill creates confidence. Confidence produces results, and this is the shift most traders never make. They stay in learning mode forever because learning feels safe. It feels productive. It doesn't require vulnerability. Executing with real money does. Committing to something imperfect does. Accepting losses does. So they avoid it. They hide behind information. But here's the truth you need to hear. Even if it's uncomfortable, you're ready right now. You already know enough to start building skill. You know what a trend is. You know support and resistance. You know how to set a stop loss. You know position sizing. That's enough. Everything else is just noise distracting you from the work that actually matters. So here's the plan. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. Step 1, pick one setup. Just one. Step 2, write down the exact rules. Entry, exit, risk, everything. Make it so clear a beginner could follow it. Step 3, trade only that setup for the next 6 months. No switching, no adding. Step 4, journal every trade. Track data, not emotions. Step 5, do not evaluate performance until at least 100 trades, no exceptions. This is how you escape the beginner phase. Not by learning more, by doing more. Not by collecting strategies, by mastering one. Not by dabbling, by committing. When you do this, something powerful happens. You stop feeling lost. You stop second-guessing. You stop chasing the next idea. You develop clarity. You develop confidence. You develop identity as a trader who knows exactly what they do and what they don't do. The market rewards mastery. It punishes dabbling. You've been dabbling long enough, 6 months. One setup, that's the difference between staying stuck forever and finally moving forward. If you're still listening, you're already ahead of most traders. But this speech won't make you profitable. Only action will. Only commitment will. So now the question is simple. Will you stay in exploration mode forever, or will you commit and finally build real skill? The beginner phase isn't about intelligence. It's about commitment. And commitment is a choice you make right now.